All right. I'm exhausted. I don't know about you guys. How are we feeling, Bama Nation? How are we feeling? Let me know in the chat room here. Let me know how the audio is too. I'm up here in the studio by myself. I don't know. I don't know how the audio is working. So let me know if you guys have the audio okay or whatever. Make it a little feedback here as we try to. Yeah, there we go. As we try to do this a little differently. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. I'm exhausted. That was felt like a little football at some point, didn't it? We'll get your comments. Let's roll through some of them. But first, thank you to Autograph, who is with us on all of our NCAA tournament coverage and the SEC basketball tournament. Autograph is an app, if you wonder about that. You download it from your app store. It's free. Just throw in your email address, and then you sit back. You throw in the promo code TNR, free, and you get the great content from all of your favorite teams, including Alabama. If you're an Alabama fan rolling in, as some of you are right here, Jake jumps in, says roll tide, but that was the most piss poor officiated game I have ever seen. Game lasted almost 2 hours and 40 minutes. Am I wrong, or is that the same officiating crew that had the Auburn game the other day? And if it is the same officiating crew that had the Auburn game the other day, I don't see how Chad Baker-Mazara got ejected, because they were not in the mood to call any fouls today. We'll get to some stats, but John, you're exactly right. Mo Diabate, you got to be ready when your number is called. And when Alabama went on that 10-0 run at the end, Mo Diabate was the man off the bench when they needed him the most. And they just showed him on TBS dancing in the locker room. And Mo Diabate, big. We'll get some numbers in a second, but your reactions first here as we roll through that. John says Diabate came up huge. We agree with that right there. And we keep rolling through the comments here. Thank you for being with us as we do our post game here, brought to you by our friends at Autograph. We may have some other people join us, but it'll just be maybe some of us here for right now. Bama needs to rest, but it's a short turnaround. They're going to stay out there, by the way. They're not coming home. They're going to go from Spokane. They'll stay in Spokane tonight. They'll fly to LA tomorrow, and then they'll keep their body clocks on the West Coast time. They'll get some days off. They'll rest. They may do a little sightseeing, and then they'll get North Carolina coming up. Landmine believer. Don't think we can beat UNC without right cell, but I don't care. Sweet 16. Let that sink in a little bit right here. How many of you, me included, but how many of you did not think this team would be a Sweet 16 at some point this year? I know I was one of them as they got injured and started to lose against some of the best teams in the SEC, and then had the early exit against the hot Florida team. I thought, not going to be the year. Make the tournament, but, think maybe Nate had squeezed every bit of juice out of this team that he could in January and February, and it was just going to fizzle out at the end. But that's what makes this tournament so crazy, right? You got some other teams. Auburn is one that's sort of built for March, but they get bounced in the first round. And here's Alabama going back to the Sweet 16. Am I right? That's 3 of the last 4 years that Nate's had this team in the Sweet 16. Little different this time. Last year, you're the 1 seed. You're supposed to be there. 1 overall seed, easy path. The names don't look like it was a tough road with Charleston and Grand Canyon. But if you watch that game tonight, you know it was a battle. Little Joe checks in, just roll tide, roll. Markel in Tar Heels. Now, y'all been saying Bama got the easiest 1 seed draw. Let's see what Bama do. Okay, so Markel checking in, thinking Bama's going to bust the easiest 1 seed. Well, I mean, the easiest 1 seed is like the ugliest girl in Miss Universe, right? Still going to be pretty good looking. Seth says Auburn sitting at home watching Bama, laughing emojis. Hey, it happens to everybody in the NCAA tournament. I got the worst bracket in the world. Nick, super impressed with Pringle and Mo's D. You guys will bash Nick Pringle sometimes during the course of the year, but that man brought it tonight as well. Nick Pringle, Mo late early, but Nick Pringle was out there with a new look hair. Wish I had that hair. He was out there tonight and made some big plays, brought the physicality. So Nick's exactly right. Sweet 16, baby. John checks in. NH3425. Bama will need the best defensive game of their life to beat North Carolina. I'm interested what you think of the defensive effort tonight. I mean, that team, what was that team? That team scored 75 against the second best defense in America in the opening round of St. Mary's, and it including a 15-1 run. So I thought Alabama's defense was pretty impressive tonight, relatively speaking, compared to what they've been doing. So, they got in. I mean, was the game officiated the way you would have officiated it, or I would have officiated it, or apparently Gene Stessator or whatever his last name is would have officiated it? Didn't sound like it. Seemed like Gene was confused. Seemed like the announcers were confused by how it was officiated. But at some point, you just have to get in there and say, okay, this is going to be a bare knuckle brawl. They're not going to call a whole lot of stuff. So let's get in there and see what we got. And that's what they ended up doing. They got in there and said, okay, it's going to be physical. We're gonna bang some stuff around. Let's bang some stuff around. And I applaud Alabama for, not having to play a finesse, everything at the perimeter 3-point game, and they got the win. So hats off Alabama. Bill says roll tide. Yes. Nolan checks in, roll tide. Rod checks in, roll tide. Jeff checks in, Auburn fan. Both teams no good. Lee, definitely a blue collar win. That's right, right? You know what Nate always talks about? Hard hat, blue collar. Give it to the whole damn team tonight, right? Give the whole damn. Do we have enough hard hats? Give it to the whole damn team tonight. It was blue collar there. Those officials were freaking horrible. I don't know. I mean, at some point they painted themselves into a corner early on what they were not calling, and then at some point you just gotta let it go. You just let it become was it a wrestling match? Was it a football game? Was it a hockey match? Was it a little bit of both? It was crazy. Leslie, that game gave me much anxiety, and the refs hate SEC. If that's the same crew that bounced Auburn, we need to check their credentials. Don't think they should come back anymore. This is our post-game show as we react to Alabama. As we speak, Taylor Korn is in Spokane for us, presented by Autograph, and she's about to go into the Alabama locker room. So when we're done chatting here, make sure you stay on all of our platforms. She'll be posting Alabama locker room reaction. Scott Forrester in his home here outside of Birmingham will be getting the podium stuff from Nate Oates and some of the selected players. So both of them will be flooding your timeline tonight on all of our platforms with post-game reaction of Alabama's big win. They're on their way back to the Sweet 16. I'm Jim Dunaway. I'm live in our Next Round studios here on a Sunday night as we sit here at 8:48 Central Time in what was a long basketball game now that I finally noticed the clock. Most physical game Alabama's played since Wimp was the coach. Yeah, I mean, and 72-61 is not what I had on my bingo card for an Alabama basketball game this year. 72 points is all they scored, and they held them to 61. But that was just the way. That's just the way it was played. Great win versus a solid online school, says Troy, Auburn fan. Online school versus Ivy League. Troy, what do you say? TP, how much money did the officials lose? I tell you, the officiating, it's different. You just got to adjust, man. Like we don't see those officials, right, during the SEC. We recognize all the same guys we get at Neville and at Coleman and at Rupp and at the O'Connell, all those places in the SEC. We seem the same. We seem sort of like we see the same 10, 12 officials, it seems like every big game. These guys, when we get to Spokane, I've never seen these guys before. I don't watch enough basketball, I guess. I'm sure they're fine officials who probably call the Big 12 or the Big 10 or the Pac-12 or something, but they're not used to the way they play in the SEC. Timmy says, difference in Bama and Auburn. We outlasted the refs. They were mental and physically tough tonight. I tweeted it after the Chad Baker-Mazara elbow about composure. I tweeted at the end of the night early on when Nate got a technical early and when Nick Pringle got a technical for slamming a bench technical for slamming a clipboard, doing a no call or a bad call. And at some point, composure, guys, composures. And they finally settled down and got the win. They battled through it all. Bob didn't play well, but officiating is not even close to how they called during the season. That's what that's what's tough, right? You're used to, what have you played coming into this game? 33 games or so, and then you get a crew that's not what you're used to calling. Leslie says yes, it was the same crew as the Auburn game. In all honesty, when are officials ever good? Well, all you want is the same at each end of the floor, and then you adjust. And I think they ended up adjusting. And Zach's right. Hats off to Mo Diabate, who is down on the bench, and he's doesn't play a lot of minutes. And in some SEC games this year, you sit there with Mo Diabate, and he comes in. He's like a bull in a china shop. He's just running through everybody like he's running a drill out there with Kalen DeBoer's team. But all of a sudden, you look down there and you go, who's perfect for this game in the second half with Ryland Griffin in foul trouble? Hey, Mo, come on in, and don't worry about running through crap tonight because they're not going to call it. You go out there and be Mo Diabate. He was born for that game. Zach, you're 100% right. Seth, great to see them close out a tournament game on a 10-0 run. Big for their confidence. Seth joining us on Facebook tonight. Seth, thank you for jumping in. 10-0 run to end the game, to bounce to the Sweet 16. This team, I'm sitting here, I cannot believe that Alabama's back in the Sweet 16 again. Not with as banged up as this team is, and with Wrightsell going out. He's one of the best three-point shooters on the team. And now you have to wonder what his status is for the next round. Long week, not even a week, but you got a few days here. Can he be back? I remember when he was out last time with a nasal cavity injury that was billed as a little bit of a concussion. He missed 4 games. He missed 2 weeks. So now a reoccurring injury. We'll let the doctors be the doctors, but we'll find out what the detail is as the week progresses. Again, Alabama's going to stay out there. They're not going to come all the way back to Birmingham. They're going to stay out there, move down the coast either I think tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon, and then set up camp in Los Angeles. That's where the next round is. So they'll keep their body clock on the West Coast time. JM says, I hope he gets to stop the Alabama plate on the board. Take whatever you want off the plate, is that what you're saying? Seth says, Jim, you're a man of the people. Game ends and you go live. Hey, that's what we get paid to do here at Double Down Media, disrupt the media next round. I had post-Auburn on Friday. Then I went to the Zach Bryan concert. Had to watch the Alabama game on replay. And Brown had post-game after that. Post-game tonight's on me. Taylor Corn's out there right now in Spokane, about to walk in and chat with the Bama players. Her coverage is coming up, all thanks to our friends at Autograph. Do me a favor now. We got 2,600 people watching us right now. 2,661 people watching right now. Do me a favor. Later on, go like and subscribe on all of our platforms at Next Round Live. But do me a favor right now. Shoot that QR code down there, or just go to your app store when you're done here. Download the Autograph app and put TNR in there. It's free. Just your email address, TNR, and then pick your favorite team, and you'll love it. You'll get, if you're Alabama, you'll get all the Alabama information every morning. You'll just click on that app, and it updates with stories about football and basketball and post-game reaction and everything there. So go and do that right there. It's the Autograph app, and that'll help us out a lot right there. And the folks at Autograph will keep spending their money and bringing you this great coverage here. Autograph is the app, QR code there, or just go to your app store, promo code TNR, so we get credit for that. Steven said, nobody thought this Bama team could win an ugly one like that in the tournament. That's exactly right. It was uncharacteristic. Perfect synopsis there, Stephen. That game, if you'd have told every Alabama fan that's the way that game would have been played, 99% of you, including me, would have said, that's not the kind of game Alabama can win. That's not the kind of game Alabama can win. They just won it, boys. They just won it. Way to go. Emily Grace checking in. Emily Grace, why are you not at work? I'm up here, man. Come on. What a game, says EG. It was. It wasn't fun to watch, though, was it? It was a brutal game to watch. How many times did you scream at your TV screen? Foul, foul. Brutal game to watch. Andrew, 3 of 4 years, Sweet 16, never would have thought it. That's why you pay the guys the money, Andrew, right? That's why Greg Burns said all these other jobs are opening up. Let's lock this down before we get to the crazy season. Sure, this year didn't turn out exactly the way in the regular season that Nate Oates wanted it to, but I think it was somebody on the set today. It may have been Kenny on the TNT set. He said, "You're judged by 4 games." Really, you are. Just think about it. You're judged by 4 games in the NCAA tournament. If you get to the tournament and you win 4 games and go to the Final Four, you're one of the top tier coaches in college basketball. Anything less than that, and you're not. You can win all these other games you want, but you win 3 in the tournament, pretty good, man. Elite 8. Alabama's only done that once. But 4 games you're judged by every year. 4 games. You got to get in the tournament, and then what do you do with those 4 games? And Alabama's back in the Sweet 16 again. And there'll be a lot of jokes about how Alabama never gets past the Sweet 16. They got one of the worst Sweet 16 records in all of the history of the NCAA tournament. They keep popping up in the sheet as been to the NCAA tournament so much, and I think they're one of the top 5 teams with tournament appearances not to go to the Final Four. But give me the Sweet 16, and we'll see what we go from there. Benjamin, best D of the year. I'll give you that. Best D of the year. I will co-sign that one, Benjamin. Best D of the year. Tyler, Jeff says, and yet they both won their first round game. Back to something else. I missed that one. Nick, 43% free throw shooter, hit some clutch ones down the stretch. Small sample size, I know. Talk about Mo, I think. Mo Diabate. I might be alone, but leave Pringle in Spokane. What are you talking about, Corey? You are alone. The guy was instrumental in the win. Instrumental. Am I the only one that keeps banging the drum for Nick Pringle? Sure, sometimes you have to massage the personality a little bit, but Alabama's better with Nick Pringle on the roster getting minutes than they are without him. You don't win this game tonight without Nick Pringle. Don't kid yourself. Don't kid yourself, Nick. Don't kid yourself, Corey. Nick Pringle's important to this team. Got to massage that personality, though. And Nate's had to, do that a couple of times this year. But hell, you don't think these people up here have to massage my personality to keep me going? They do it every week. Big C, gritty win. Over 3,000 of you watching right now. Thanks for being with us. Autograph postgame show. Download the Autograph app. Email address and TNR. We'll get to the numbers later on, but I love just your responses here. You know the numbers. You don't need me to run through any stats. You just know Alabama won, and they're going to the Sweet 16. Bradley, Bama finally showing some grit while the offense was struggling. Let's try to get healthy now. Bradley, I don't know if you can get healthy. You're just going to have to tape it up, put some salve on it, and go out there and man up and try to beat the North Carolina Tar Heels. I don't know about you. I'm sort of glad they're playing North Carolina. Heck, I think it was tougher playing Grand Canyon tonight because they play such a grinded out game. And I mean, you don't think Mark Sears and the guys going to see Tar Heels or Carolina or whatever they have on their jersey on Friday night and think to themselves, all right, big boy versus big boy here. I think that'll play to Alabama's advantage. Get into more of a high-quality basketball situation to where it's not a fight. Alan said, I'm used to them losing that kind of game. So proud. Alan, thank you, man. I agree with you, Alan. I'll leave that up here for a second. Let that marinate on some Bama fans for a little bit. Because, how many times, here's one for you. How many times has Alabama gone to Tennessee and played against that style of game right there? Think about it. And lost. In the last few years, since Rick Barnes has been there, how many times do they go to Tennessee, play that kind of game where the refs let you mug, and don't call anything, and they lose the game? Well, tonight, it wasn't orange on the other side, but it was purple. But the refs let them mug in Alabama, who's known as this team that's just going to sit out there at the three-point line and shoot, and not get physical with you. They got physical and got the win. Great comment, Alan. Thanks for being with us tonight. Much better for sure. Thank you, Scott. Lee, that is one of the best games I've ever seen play. Lee. Hey, some people think bulldogs are pretty, right? Not the prettiest dogs, but some people love the way they look. Lee, you're a man with a unique taste, but I'll take it. Love it. John, rock fight. More like a brick fight. That's why they wear the hard hats, man. That's why they wear the hard hats. Thanks for being with you. Alabama's in the Sweet 16 as we roll on tonight. Keep it rolling here. It's live on a Sunday night, and Bama Nation is back in the Sweet 16. A few more games ongoing. Houston's up 43-38 against another SEC team. Right now, 2 SEC teams are in the Sweet 16. Texas A&M would have to knock off a number 1 to make it 3. Most likely, we're going to end up with 2 SEC teams in the Sweet 16. John G., that's the type of game that leaves scars but builds character. Hard schedule helped us down the stretch there. You know, you wonder, right? You wonder if you go back to Purdue and Creighton and Arizona and those games that were losses. You wonder if you go back to those games and tonight they were able to say, hey, we've been in this game before. Let's win it this time. Roll Tide, baby, says Steven. Enjoy the physicality, Sweet 16. Boy, you know, you'd get that kind of game played on the street, right? Or in the back of the apartment complex on the 9-foot goal where you had to call your own foul, but you never called a foul because you knew they were going to make fun of you for calling a foul, so you just had to take it. The Meltdown guys who will be on tomorrow at 2 o'clock, our pop culture podcast, checking in saying, let's go. Let's go. Meltdown guys, we'll need your help tomorrow. Planning our trip to L.A. DB King, by far the best effort all year. Yeah, talking about the Tide tonight winning. Boy, I mean, you can't forget Mark Sears. At one point, he had 11 of the first 19 points. He had 13 in the first half. You can't forget Rylan Griffin. He had 13 in the first half. Down the stretch, you can't take away what Nick Pringle was able to do in the paint, what Stevenson did in times off the bench, and then there was Mo Diabate who came in there and made it happen. I think the refs were winded, not used to this pace. So you're saying that's why they didn't have enough air to blow their whistles? They were winded a little bit. Let's see, Richard, maybe the worst basketball game I've ever seen, or the worst basketball I've ever seen. Hey, it wasn't pretty. When you got the announcers, the head official who comes on and makes the call, they were sort of laughing about the contact. I assume those 3 guys will get judged by this, and I mean, it was both ways. I give them that. It was officiated the same way both times, but it was an intense game. Dakota, Mark Sears is an all-timer for Bama. Boy, he made some shots, didn't he? And the way he runs the point, dished it off a couple of times. I agree with you. Mark Sears is an all-timer. Second-team All-American this year. Can't argue with that the way he played this year, right? And especially tonight. Jimmy Nelson didn't get much. Nope. Hopefully Grant will have a better game coming up. Lunsford checks in. Let's go. Big JL there. My buddy John Lunsford, one of the best humans in the world. He's checking back with the let's go. Festus, great coaching by Oates. Oh, look, we're going to give some credit to the coach. I like that, Festus. Yeah, I mean, you got to know who to call, what number to call, how to rotate them in and out. And he did that. Great job of taking Pringle out early on where I thought it could have led to a punch or a flagrant foul or something. Took him out, set him down. Still in that moment while he's over there, he got a technical for slamming a clipboard, but still didn't throw a punch. Nick, never thought they would have been in the Sweet 16. North Carolina going to eat us up, though. Hey, they may. Listen, I'd rather lose in the Sweet 16 getting eaten up by North Carolina than to be bounced in the first or second round, right? If you're going to get bounced deeper into the tournament. Second weekend again, baby. Oates in 5 years, 3 16s, and back-to-back now. I think it's the first time back-to-back in the Sweet 16 since Wimp. Am I right about that, Bama fans? I think I'm right about that. So good for them. El Tigre, congrats, Bama, from an Auburn fan. Thank you, El Tigre, always a very nice guy who joins our show all the time. Benjamin says, bye, but now it's a Final Four team versus North Carolina. Is that what it is, Benjamin? Is that what you're talking about? Jor, I got them going to the Final Four in my bracket, so don't put that evil on me, Bobby. I don't know if you're talking about North Carolina or Alabama in the Final Four. It would be ironic if Alabama made it to the Final Four and I had Auburn in the Final Four in my bracket. That would be a swing and a miss by me. Richard, I was just happy winning in the first round, to be honest. So happy to be moving on. Richard, thank you. Bryce says, let's F and G go. Thank you. Robert says, I'm sweating. Robert, it was one of those kind of games. Yeah, everybody remembers Auburn losing the first game. Gut check when Diabate saved our bacon. Gut check win. Diabate saved our bacon. Yes. Hey, it's a team game, man. It's a team game. That's why he's got. That's why he's got that scholarship. That's why he's got that jersey to come in there and final 5 minutes do what he did. 10-0 run they end on, buddy. How about that? Carter says Bama's so good basketball school. Pretty good at football too, and some other sports. Are you suckering me into saying in everything school? Is that what you're trying to do? Bama has played defense the last 2 games. Leslie says that's cray-cray. All gravy now, says Rick. I know it's easy to say that right after you've won here and you're going to the Sweet 16. But now we'll have all week to walk around and think about, what if they beat North Carolina? What if they beat North Carolina? If they beat North Carolina, then they're in the Elite Eight. Then they're the second team ever to go to the Elite Eight. And then you start thinking, well, what if they win that game? They could be the Final Four. So I know it feels like all gravy right now, Rick. But let's give us time on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday to build it up to where maybe this tournament's full of upsets. Maybe if Alabama meets North Carolina, they become only the second team in Bama history to go to the Elite Eight. And then you'll take your shot at the Final Four, wouldn't you? My bracket is shot, mine too. James, when you get the easiest draw, it wasn't totally unrealistic to think Bama would be here. The easiest draw. The Grand Canyon team was pretty good. I know none of us know who the hell they are, but this year they lost to South Carolina 75-68. They beat San Diego State, who's still in the NCAA tournament. Beat a pretty good Liberty team. They won 30 games. And beat St. Mary's, number 2 defense early on. Hood says, good time, says Bryce. TP. That's what makes the tournament so great. Different styles, you're right. It does make the tournament good. I'm not one of those that wants to eliminate the small schools from the NCAA tournament. I sort of like the upsets and the things that go with it. Deborah, end of season play gave me doubts too, but here we are. Deborah, I was there. At the end, I was like, when I saw them lose in Nashville, I saw how banged up they were. I didn't know what was left in the tank, but here they are. Steven, I like the physicality of the game. They were a step ahead on defense. Good game for GCU. They left it on the court. Good sportsmanship, Steven. Ross, Alabama just won a game playing great defense. Think about that. Didn't think you'd say that this year, did you, my man? Did not think you'd say that this year. Right cell injury will be a big topic. It'll be a big topic, no doubt, moving through the week. Can you beat North Carolina without him? Don't know. Be good to have him. We're thinking about him, though. And, again, if you work with us to start with, as far as I know, the plan for Alabama is to stay out there. Spokane overnight to L.A., where they'll chill, some rest, recoup, rehab, keep getting some shots up, and start working on North Carolina. For all of you that are already doubting Alabama, let me just make this point for you real quick. Follow me here. You play in this situation Friday around 1, and you had just a few hours to prepare for Grand Canyon. Now you've got all this time to game plan for North Carolina. Listen, I'd rather play North Carolina going into the first part of the Sweet 16 than I would have played them on a Sunday after playing somebody else on a Friday, a whole week to prepare. So I like that. Stephen, we need to double Baycott and get out to the shooters when he passes out. Stephen, have you ever seen the movie Hoosiers? It's like you're writing the script right there. I like that. It's Jimmy Company Man in studio. Andrew, yes, I am. EG, madness, baby. I like it, EG. Hope your weekend was good, EG. Kevin, I wish the refs would let more games play out like that. I don't think the NCAA's insurance is good enough to let more games play out like that. It is insanity. Grand Canyon's a good team, too. Yes. Bama will have to turn the game against UNC, says Kid, into a scrap fight like tonight to have a chance to win. Think about that a little bit. Do they? Do they, or does that play into Baycott and the big guys from North Carolina if the refs let them play? My history of NCAA tournaments is this. Big guys inside that are a big part of your team. The Zach Edey's, the Baycotts, Patrick Ewing, Ralph Sampson, those type of guys. Usually it's foul trouble, right? It's foul trouble that neutralizes them and gets them into some trouble. So maybe you're right. Maybe you're right, kid. Maybe it's foul trouble that can open up the path for Alabama. Steven Sears was unbelievable. Any specific news on Reitzel? It's concussion symptoms again for him. He had a nasal cavity injury that cost him 2 weeks back in the regular season. It was an elbow to the head in that shooting motion after the shot as he went to the ground. So he went back and was tested for concussion protocol and did not pass that test. So Alabama doctors kept him out of the game. We'll see if that lingers overnight and how long it lingers and if he misses time. Gwen says, roll tide. Jim says, Nelson needs to up his game. We need him. That's where, you had Diabate up his game tonight. And I thought Rylan Griffin, let's don't forget Rylan Griffin, how well he played for 30, 32 minutes, however long he played. He upped his game tonight. And I thought Pringle upped his game tonight. But you're right, Jim. We'll probably need Nelson to crank it up to another level. Toughest, grittiest Alabama win I've seen in a long time, says Brandon. Chili Dipper, you sleep in the studio tonight? I am not. I did ponder. It's 9:12, and I usually get back up here at 6:30. So you can do the math. But I've already done some show notes. I don't know. I won't spend the night up here, though, because I will smell by the time the crowd gets here tomorrow. So I'll go home. I should have picked Bama. Devin, you're right. I should have picked Bama in my bracket challenge. I did have Bama going to the Sweet 16, so I haven't missed on them yet. I just didn't have them beating North Carolina. Colton, let's go. Back-to-back Sweet 16. How about that defense? Yes, Colton, thank you for checking in. Bryce, Nelson needs to keep his ass on the bench. No, Bryce, we need them all. You need the bodies. You just need them to play better. I really think if he hits one of those outside shots early on, how many do you take, one or two? If he hits one of them, I think it's a different game. Baycott will have 35 rebounds against this RTD4. That's a hell of a way to send me to the weekend, RTD4. I'll have to think about that all week now. Adam, I'm glad Nick Pringle made the trip. Me too. I'm glad Taylor Corn saved him a seat on the plane. Taylor's getting post-game interviews now. We'll be off here, and I'm going to give it 2 more minutes, and then we'll get off so she can fill up the timeline with Alabama post-game. If you're wondering, and we have almost 4,000 people watching right now, Autograph app, they bring you this coverage. So do me a favor, and go to the Autograph app in your app store. Download the app when we're done here. All you do is put in an email address and the promo code TNR. Email address, promo code TNR. And simply, that'll probably get me on a plane to Los Angeles to cover the Sweet 16. So we'll call this Send Jimmy to Los Angeles with the Autograph app, right? So impressed how they won with such a tough defensive effort. Sears is a legend, says Bama JT2. Bama JT2. So impressed how they won with such a great defensive effort. Legend. Rotate Mo D and Sam. Hey, Sam, man, he hit one or did he hit two tonight? Did he hit one or did he hit two? But I love me some Sam Walters. I interviewed him this week. I love that kid. And if he could just stay hot one time and just have one of those 18-point games, I think it would help his confidence. And we'd be rolling. We'd be rolling with him. Seth, Yale isn't known for basketball, just saying. There's back and forth going on now with Troy. If y'all didn't make the Sweet 16 in that god-awful bracket, would have had to rethink that extension. Troy, back and forth, Auburn, Alabama fans there, just to update you there. Steven, Bama had to beat Grand Canyon and the refs. Well, a national park and a couple of referees. It's a good Sunday, right? I'd never heard of Grand Canyon, but they've been to the tournament now, 3 times? I think they're in Phoenix. Taylor told me earlier she thinks they're in Phoenix, but the Grand Canyon, of course, the actual hole in the ground is like 2.5 hours north. But I saw somewhere that they have a huge, huge enrollment because a lot of it is online. Like I think I could be here in Birmingham and be in the student at Grand Canyon. But they had a huge fan base up there in Spokane. Taylor was telling me that there were so many legit Grand Canyon fans there. Our friend Vern Funquist used to be with Saturday Down South. Now he's on his own. He comes on the show all the time. He described Grand Canyon as this. He says, think BYU with fake IDs. That's how he described Grand Canyon. I was told by someone in Arizona that two of the biggest party schools in the country is Arizona and Arizona State, and that the kids that go to Grand Canyon party too hard to have good enough grades to get into Arizona and Arizona State. That it's even a bigger group of partiers than at Arizona State. I don't know if that's true or not, secondhand. Paul says Sears willed this team to the win. His leadership should not be discounted. I think we've only retired one number in Alabama basketball history. Is that right? I don't know when we start retiring numbers. Is Ori and any of those in the Raptors? I don't think they are they? Alabama traditionally doesn't retire numbers, especially in football. But Sears, as a second-team All-American, should be remembered forever. Kevin says Pringle acted like an ass a few times, though. Hey, in a game of asses, you better have a couple on your side, right? Put that on a T-shirt. In a game of asses, you better have a couple on your team, right? If we're playing hockey and they got a bunch of guys checking me into the wall, I'm going to want somebody who's going to check somebody back. If we're playing football and they're hitting my quarterback late, I'm going to want somebody to hit their quarterback late. So I'm glad we had Nick Pringle on Alabama tonight if I'm an Alabama fan. He beat the hell out of that clipboard. He did, Andrew. Wonder if he has to pay for that out of his own NIL. Good team energy, Rod. I agree with you, man. Nolan, Cinderellas are getting all the calls. Manufacturer storyline. I wondered about that. When I said this post-game in the Auburn game, and people made fun of it. Some people try to make it like I was saying one team was white and one team wasn't, but that's not what I was saying. I was saying one team was an Ivy League prep school. One team was an Ivy League prep school, and they were calling it different for one side of the court than they were on the other side of the court for the high-seeded SEC team. And a little bit of me thinks that those officials who are full-time basketball officials this time of year, for the most part, they do 4 or 5 games a year, and they get to do this NCAA tournament. I think a bunch of them were upset with Greg Sankey when he said maybe we should just have a Power 5 tournament. And I think some of these basketball people were taking it out on our SEC teams. I'm not a conspiracy theory, Nolan. But I thought that during this whole tournament, that the officials were getting caught up on those double-digit teams. Oates, Milroad, Pringle. Don't know what that means. Coached him up? Made him better? Damien. Oh, hey, Damien, on Facebook. Pringle going to have to control his emotions. Hashtag go Hills. Oh, that's right. I had breakfast with you, man, and you're a Carolina fan. He's not going to control his emotions. We need him to get elbows into Baycott. Elbows. Okay, this is Baycott right here, this part of the screen. Going to have to elbow him. There we go. Elbow him. Going to have to go Heels. Don't come on my show and say go Heels. Not after that brilliant hang it in the Louvre win Alabama just had. Come on, man. Whew. Best D of the year. Thank you, Benjamin. I'm exhausted, says Steve. I just exhaled, Stephen. Perfect timing. I'm exhausted, too. Defense kept Bama in the game. They did. So did their plucking grits in the fight song. Ginger Rammer Jammer is being played to the refs. Best defense from Bama all year. Thank you, Jim. Time for Oates to reevaluate his scouting team. Do you have to play? Hey, hats off, man. I'm just sitting here. I'm tickled to death that Alabama is in the Sweet 16. Thank you to all the fine folks who jumped in with us tonight. Over 4,000 of you watching right now. When we're done here, all of the post game that we've already done is up here forever on all the platforms, no matter where you're watching us. that app right there in the corner, the QR code. One of them is mybookie.ag, the one over here, mybookie.ag, promo code next round. This one over here is very important. This is autographed. They're bringing us this coverage tonight. Download that in your app store. It's free. Use promo code TNR. Helps us out and will help our coverage as we go to the Sweet 16. So it's free. Email address TNR. Email address TNR. And what you'll get, I can't show you because I'm using all my devices right here. But it's an app. And say you're an Alabama fan. You pick Alabama. And then you open your app every day. And it's got story. It's just a bunch of stories that you read, that you listen to, podcast, post-game reaction. It's all right there in the autograph app. You'll like, if you're an Auburn fan, put Auburn. Maybe you want Alabama and Auburn. Maybe you want Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee. Maybe you want Tennessee, Auburn, Florida. Pick and choose. Pick and choose. That's what you do right there. Ryan Fowler, great radio guy over in Tide 100 over in Tuscaloosa. Defense has been huge. Saved the best for late in the year, apparently. Ryan, listen to him tomorrow. Great guy right there. Knows his Bama stuff. Appreciate Ryan being with us tonight. EG would have loved to see a reveal on the shrinking lady. Don't know what that is. Is it something behind me? The shrinking lady. Taylor Corn coming up a little bit later on. Maybe she knows what that is. The GCU screamer. Okay, yes, would have been good. Gutsy win. Thank you. Chris, the GCU screamer was annoying. Yeah, like the Vanderbilt whistler. God rest his soul. Did he really die back in the day? All right. Be Rich. There you go. Chris. Yep. They did team up quickly, didn't they? All right. Appreciate all you guys being with us tonight. 4,000 of you. I hate to even turn it off now, but we got to move on so Taylor Corn can bring us a little post-game action. Okay, let me take off the glasses so you can see my emotions. Alabama back in the Sweet 16. North Carolina's next. Late game on Friday. I'm told it's like 9:40 Central Time. So you can take the wife out, get her a little pasta, little red wine, take her back to the house, put it on the big screen, and watch the Tide play North Carolina. Anybody remember when Dean Smith brought North Carolina to Tuscaloosa to play Wimp and the guys because they had recruited a player from the Tuscaloosa area, that Chilcutt kid, and we got North Carolina got to come to play. I think Wimp also played them in the NCAA tournament once, so we crank it back up again, baby. Crank it back up. North Carolina, Alabama. North Carolina, Alabama. Sweet 16 time. We'll talk about it tomorrow, 9 a.m. Central Time on our live show. If you're new to this live show, every Monday through Friday is called The Next Round. There's the big logo over there, blocked by TV that I didn't move. Ryan Brown will be here with me. LT's off this week, spring break vacation. Emily Grace McWhorter will be doing some great stuff with us this week. And Taylor Corn, as we speak, is out there in Spokane cutting up some Alabama postgame sound. So when I'm done here, go over to Twitter at Next Round Live on Twitter or X, whatever you call it, or Twix in between Twitter and X, whatever you want to call it. And just keep an eye out on Instagram too, where Scott Forrester will have Nate Oates postgame. Wow, it's been a fun day. Alabama moves on. Hey, I got Zach Bryan on Friday, great concert. Little Saturday day at the house, and then Sunday got to watch my wife preach this morning. Got to meet my girlfriend, my daughter's boyfriend's parents. Pretty big day there. Then I got to come up here, do a pregame show, watch the Tide win, and then I got to do this postgame show with 4,000 of you. So thank you. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I turn it over now to Taylor Corn and Scott Forrester for all their postgame reaction from Spokane. On a winning evening, though, from the Blue Lake Center. Good night, everybody. And thank you to Autograph. Download the app, promo code TNR.